Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling a massive realization that's hitting the tech industry right now. It turns out your AI organizational structure isn't just some boring HR paperwork. It's the literal operating system of your product. Get it right, and your quality and speed will constantly reinforce each other. But get it wrong, well, they're going to collide hard.
And that brings us to a quote that really anchors everything we're exploring today. In AI, structure is strategy. It's absolutely crucial to understand this. If you get your team structure wrong, you're immediately looking at bad model quality, incredibly slow delivery, or massive organizational bottlenecks. The way information flows in your team directly determines what actually ships to your users. To help us navigate all this, here's our roadmap. We're going to cover 5 key areas today: why AI breaks traditional orgs, the 4 main operating models you can choose from, the critical rituals and decisions you need to implement, 4 highly dangerous anti-patterns to avoid, and finally, a couple of real-world case studies to tie it all together. Let's get right to it.
So, part 1. Why AI breaks traditional orgs.
Okay, let's dive into this. Why does the traditional software playbook absolutely fail when it comes to AI? Well, in traditional software, we rely heavily on a clean separation of concerns, right? Product managers define the requirements, engineers build the thing, and design shapes the experience. You essentially hand the baton down the line. But in AI, that clean separation just shatters. The final quality of an AI feature is a joint function. It relies on your product framing, your data quality, and your model behavior all working simultaneously. If you isolate these functions, you might optimize for local efficiency, sure, but you practically guarantee the product will fail.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 4 AI operating models.
Because of this fundamental shift in how we build, companies have to completely rethink how they align their talent. Depending on your resources, you basically have 4 distinct models to choose from. The first is embedded data scientists in feature teams. Here, your data scientists sit directly inside individual feature teams, right alongside product engine design. Now, this is fantastic for speed when you're building a bunch of AI features in parallel. But, and here's the PM intuition you absolutely need, if your data science talent is scarce, this model breaks down super fast. Teams just end up competing for the exact same people, which leads to wildly inconsistent product quality.
That brings us to the second approach, the centralized ML platform team. In this setup, a shared team builds and maintains all the common infrastructure, tooling, and evaluation pipelines for everyone else. This brilliantly solves the problem of duplicated work by prioritizing infrastructure reuse. Feature teams can just consume these services. But a major warning here. The platform team can very easily turn into a massive delivery bottleneck. If they start gatekeeping every single AI initiative, your feature teams lose all their autonomy, and your product velocity just crashes.
Our third option is the hub and spoke model with shared ML leadership. Think of this one as a hybrid. You've got a central leadership hub that sets all the standards and frameworks, while the embedded spoke teams own the actual local execution. Honestly, this is often the perfect balance between consistency and autonomy. You get really high standards without fragmenting your organization. But it does have a flaw. It fails if the central hub gets overloaded. If decision-making stalls at the top, you leave all your spokes just sitting around waiting for direction.
And finally, the fourth option, the integrated product and data science leadership model. Here, your product and research leaders function as one tightly integrated system. They co-own the roadmaps, they co-own the trade-offs, and the boundary between them is intentionally very porous. Now keep in mind, this model is strictly for when AI is the core strategy of your business. It requires an incredible amount of alignment. Because if product pushes for speed and science pushes for rigor, and they aren't totally aligned, you're going to hit complete leadership gridlock.
Let's look at Section 3, critical rituals and decisions. Let's pivot from the structural org chart to the actual day-to-day action. Because, let's be real, a structure means absolutely nothing without explicit decision-making rituals. You need what we call the Rule of 4. First, a problem formulation gate to lock in your metrics up front. Second, a feasibility review every few weeks to surface the actual technical reality of what you're building. Third, an evaluation and launch gate right before shipping. And fourth, a post-launch sync, simply because AI systems always drift over time. The key takeaway you need here? These are not just casual chats or sync-ups. These meetings must produce hard, explicit artifacts and decisions to create a durable feedback loop.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we handle authority. Look closely at that joint input column. The worst AI organizations out there rely on vague consensus, but the best ones map out exactly who owns what. The PM owns the user problem, data science owns the model approach, and engineering owns the architecture.
But the absolute core principle here is joint optimization. If data science is only optimizing for model metrics, or if PMs are only optimizing for shipping speed, the whole product fails. They have to continuously challenge and balance each other out.
Which brings us to Section 4, 4 dangerous AI anti-patterns.
So we know what works, but what happens when things go completely off the rails? Let's rapid fire through 4 dangerous anti-patterns. Number 1, data science reporting directly to engineering. Congratulations, you've just built a technically flawless solution to a problem literally no user actually has. Number 2, PMs with zero AI literacy. Instead of leading, they just become massive roadblocks. Number 3, the chief data scientist has to personally approve everything. This takes a brilliant leader and turns them into a massive bottleneck, completely collapsing your speed. And number 4, feature teams actively competing for data science resources. It turns your org into a political nightmare where no one gets the sustained attention they need to build anything good.
All right, Section 5, real-world AI case studies.
To ground all this dense theory in reality, let's look at 2 massive tech giants. And this brilliantly illustrates how your specific business strategy has to dictate your structure. Take Anthropic. They lean into the integrated leadership model. For them, AI literally is the core product. Their entire strategy depends on frontier model behavior and strict safety alignment, which means their product and research decisions are completely inseparable. On the flip side, look at Google. They utilize a hub-and-spoke structure. Google operates at massive scale, applying AI across hundreds of different products. They desperately need a central hub for consistency, but they need embedded spokes so local teams can still move fast. 2 completely different models, perfectly solving their specific challenges.
Finally, let's wrap up with the action plan.
So how do you actually apply this to your own teams today? Here's a step-by-step decision framework. Step 1, classify your AI's strategic importance to the business. Step 2, take an honest assessment of your actual resource depth. Step 3, map out your infrastructure reuse. Are your teams just constantly reinventing the wheel? Step 4, measure the coordination intensity required. And Step 5, based on all that, choose your dominant model. So the crucial point is this: your operating model must follow your product strategy, not the other way around.
Ultimately, your goal is simple. Choose the structure that makes good decisions the easiest to make. We really have to stop asking which org chart is best and start analyzing the actual reality of our workflows. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to take back to your teams today. Where do your decisions stall? Seriously, find where the friction is. Look at where your internal product quality actually gets lost in translation. Once you find that, you'll know exactly which operating model you need to fix it. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer,